5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to Westchester Jewish Community Services. As a leading agency in providing a comprehensive spectrum of human services, we have been helping people since 1943. We serve all people in Westchester County, regardless of age, income, or ethnicity. We provide a wide variety of essential and dynamic services that make a difference in people's lives. Children, teens, adults, and senior citizens are served by our network of programs located throughout the county. When people come to us for assistance, they become part of the WJCS family. Our highly trained and skilled staff focus on you and your family and are committed to becoming your partner in finding solutions. For more than half a century, we have been connecting people to services that help them overcome mental, physical, or emotional challenges. WJCS is here in your community when you need us.
Welcome to the Ways We Care of Westchester Jewish Community Services. I'm Dale Wang, Director of Community Relations. WJCS is funded by UJA Federation, United Way, government grants, private individuals, foundations, and corporations. The concept that it takes a village to raise a child is not a new one, but it is a perspective that is gaining momentum as families, schools, and communities struggle to address complex issues with limited resources. Interestingly, as schools seek to prevent violence and families grapple with economic and social problems, individuals, educators, and legislators are looking into the communities to develop and expand services that can help meet changing needs. WJCS, as a major provider of programs and services throughout Westchester County, is very often an integral part and partner with other social agencies and with local and county governments working to solve problems as they emerge. Tonight we will focus on the New Rochelle community and efforts being made by a variety of organizations to promote healthy development of children and families and to alleviate social dysfunction and substance abuse in the city. We will begin by highlighting a unique WJCS program, the Parent-Child Home Program, working within New Rochelle that is serving a pressing need and bringing the community together in an innovative way. To inform us about the new initiatives of the Parent-Child Home Program, we have invited our entire staff this evening, so we're very lucky to have everybody with us. And we're going to introduce to you our Program Director, Patrice Cuddy. Patrice, welcome.
Thanks.
It's always a pleasure to have you. Concepcion Figueroa, who is a Program Assistant with the Parent-Child Center. Thank you for joining us. Assistant Director, Amy Ross. Welcome, Amy. And Program Specialist, Marcia Felice.
Thank you, Dale.
Welcome. Patrice, the Parent-Child Home Program is one of our oldest and really one of the most respected programs of our agency. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about it and about the community that it serves?
I'll just tell you a brief history of the Parent-Child Home Program, and then we'll tell specifically what's happening in New Rochelle. The Parent-Child Home Program is a home-based parent education and literacy program. In 1965, Phyllis Levenstein began to do extensive research under the Verbal Interaction Project to look at why kids are not doing well in school. Two very important concepts came out from that, and is the basis of the Parent-Child Home Program. One is that parents play an integral role in the development of their children. They're their child's first and really the most important teacher. And the other big piece is that early stimulation of children, young children, have long-lasting cognitive development, positive gains for children. And so that's the basis of the Parent-Child Home Program. So what we do, we have home visitors go in and visit families in their home, bringing specially selected books or toys, and literally sit and play with the parent and child and model different verbal interactive activities for them. The children are can be in the program for up to 2 years. And research is indicating that the children who have been in the Parent-Child Home program graduate at significantly higher rates than what had perhaps been projected, and they are on target in various national scores. And so we're really very proud of the program. It has been in Westchester County through WJCS. We'll be celebrating on June 7th, our graduation party, 29 years. And we've been in New Rochelle, I think, Amy, 15 years, 14 years or so, 14 years. And so it's been a delightful experience for all of us in the program, and we're happy to share that kind of information.
Now, the children who are enrolled in the program are what ages?
The program is geared to families, parents, and their toddler age children. So the children usually are 16 to 3 years old. And it's families who are challenged by poverty, limited education, language barriers, issues that would prevent perhaps academic success. So those are the population families that we are attempting to serve.
And you are not only in the New Rochelle community,
No,
although that's
no.
what we're going to highlight tonight.
Yeah, we are not only in the New Rochelle community. We started in White Plains. We're also in Port Chester, New Rochelle, and through the Community Development Block Grant, we're expanding into Greenburgh and to Mamaroneck. So I guess if we added the 29 years we've been around, we've served well over 2,500 families to date. Currently, we serve about 100 families in specifically the Parent-Child Home program, about 35, 36 families in New Rochelle this year.
Right. Well, that's incredible. Over the past several years, I know that new directions have developed for the Parent-Child Home program, and one of the major ones that was that we changed it from the Mother-Child Home program to the Parent-Child Home program. Can you talk a little bit about some of the changes and some of the expansion ideas?
Sure. I think that the Parent-Child Home program really does stay very true in the original model for the Parent-Child Home program. But as we can see, and as you talked about, it takes a village to raise a child, and we've needed to develop and support several different initiatives. And Amy was going to kind of expand on that for us in some of the ways we've stayed true to the program, but yet have added extra components to support our families.
Okay, one of the things that we've been doing, aside from bringing the books to the children on a weekly basis, is expanding that to include more of a family literacy component. We're very interested in giving the families an opportunity themselves. We provide books and magazines to the families, to the parents, to older siblings. We were fortunate enough to get help from Reader's Digest Foundation, and they have given us a number of books that we are able to give to the families for siblings, either school age or young infants, which has been wonderful. Providing the families, as I said, an opportunity to do that. We've expanded also with the local libraries. We've collaborated with the libraries in all the communities to get the families to use the libraries. We provide monthly calendars. We assist the families in getting library cards, which is something many of them don't have and don't realize how easy it is to get a library card. You just need to be a resident. And we facilitate that for the families, providing the application forms, taking them to the library, and when they're processed, we then bring them back to the families. And then to get the families through the doors of the library, we then in the spring have a celebration, a Parent-Child Home program. We invite all the families to come. Many of them come, many of them bring family, friends that come and join us for a special story song time that we've set up with the librarian. We also then provide a brief tour of the library, the facilities, to get the families through the doors. Often it's getting them through the doors the first time, which can be challenging, and we found that the families then continue to use the library, and we encourage that. Another thing that we've done, aside from expanding, as Patrice said, into Greenburgh and Mamaroneck this year, we started a parent-child center in New Rochelle. The waiting list in New Rochelle alone is over 100 families.
That's
As we
amazing,
said, we're
isn't it?
serving about 36, but a waiting list. And those are the families that have heard about us and have made an attempt to get into the program. There's certainly many more in the community that could benefit from our program. And in talking about that, there's just no way we could serve everyone with the Parent-Child Home program as much as we would like to. And so we did a lot of talking and figuring out what we could do, and we came up with the idea of a center within the community. And that started this year. We got some money from the Westchester County Youth Initiative But
Westchester County Urban Youth Initiative Invest in
right,
Kids.
Invest in Kids.
Right.
And we are now down at St. Gabriel's Church in New Rochelle once a week, providing a center for the families. It's a drop-in program for the parent and child to come. We have the cafeteria, or half of the cafeteria, set up as an early childhood center. With books and toys and games and a water table and an easel and all the things that you would find at a typical daycare and nursery situation, and have the parents come in and use the facility. And that's been very exciting for us to do, to provide for the families.
One of the aspects that you've talked about over the years is the family empowerment, and I think obviously the inclusion of the parents with the children is certainly something significant here. Can you tell us a little bit about the
Sure.
rest of that?
From the most earliest research that we know, and we've known for a long time, and it seems that it's more and more building, that parents have a vital part in the successful life of their child, particularly in the academic area, and so that we really work very hard in our technique. We talk about it as a partnership between the parent and child, that we actually model lots of verbal interaction activities for the parent, and so it's one of total partnership in terms of that. As we move towards the center, we use the same philosophy of really developing it as a family center. It's like almost like the first arm towards a family center, where we have a parents committee that will work on the design of the program and decide where we want to go and what songs we want to sing and what activities we want to do. So it's really a partnership with the parents and children together, and looking at it that way.
Right. Well, Amy, you certainly provided a broad scope. I'm interested from Marcia's perspective too, because I know that one of the changes in the neighborhood and in the community has been an increase in the Hispanic population, and how we are adapting our services to meet that need. Maybe you could comment on that.
Sure. Yes. One of the ways that we are trying to accommodate and to have the community meet the needs of the community. We know the community that we serve. I'm the coordinator for Portchester, and the families that I serve are Hispanic, Latino families. Most of the families, they are facing the same issues that a recent immigrant face. There are issues of language. They don't know English, so we provide a way of networking with some of the social services programs to facilitate that they go to English classes. For example, we also network with Cluster. They do face issues of housing. So we network with Cluster, Carver Center, YMCA.
Yeah, we have a lot of kind of informal networking and collaborations that respond to the needs of housing, education, immigration concern, and so forth.
Particularly with Westchester Hispanic Coalition. We do have a very close relationship with them.
So you, and I know that you also are providing materials in English and Spanish.
Yeah, English and Spanish. Some of the other way that we provide support to these families is that our home visitors, we provide a variety of English and Spanish material. Everything is translated, all our materials.
Yeah, we're a language-based program, and although that we teach in English, we know that many of our families, their first language and their primary language is Spanish. And so to facilitate that, all of our books, our preschool books, whether they be Pat the Bunny or Goodnight Moon, all those wonderful classics, are all translated in Spanish by the use of computer labels on that books, which really helps to increase the literacy of the whole family. So that what we're finding is that many of the parents will tell us that, way past the child's bedtime, they're out at the kitchen table trying to translate the English and Spanish to really start to begin to learn some of the language that they want to acquire as well. So it's been exciting in terms of that. We've also, as you started the program talking about collaborations and the need to really do that. both Marcia and I are involved in a more formal collaboration, and that would be from Portchester. You
Yes,
certainly can tell them about your
yes,
formal
also
collaboration.
The formal collaboration, yes. We also participate in the Council of Community Services. As part of the Council of Community Services also came up the Children and Youth Coalition, which Terry Lanigan is the chair. She's from WJCS also. And within that, what we did was that we broke those in subcommittees. I chair the subcommittees in ages 0 to 6, 7 to 11, 12 to 16, and 17 to 21. And I chair the subcommittee for the 0 to 6.
So you're also involved,
Involved in
on a
that,
very
yes.
intense basis with
Absolutely.
other community
Absolutely.
organizations. Before I come back to the other aspects of becoming really a family resource center and some of the staff education, I'd like to get Concepcion's thoughts, because you were in the Mother-Child Home program and now you are an assistant in the Parent-Child Center.
Yes.
Can you talk about your experience as someone who benefited from the program and what you learned and how you are now serving the community?
My experience first as a mother when my daughter was little, it was very important for me, because it was, in that time, I was feeling like very lonely sometimes, and my English was very short. But with the books, it's like an intensive to help you to move and to find out that you can do it. Annie at that time. Annie Miller.
Who's still
she
a home
was a
visitor.
wonderful teacher for Christine and for me, because she always encouraged me to help and to be there. And for me, that was very important. Now I see her and I hug her so hard and I said, oh. And now as a mother working, now I'm working with as part of the staff, to see all those mothers and see that I was there, then I can help. And it's very important. It's very important for me, because the first week that they come, you can tell that they're very nervous, they know what to expect. It seems like they are lost, but they found a family there. All of us can help, and after you start talking and approaching to them, to the kids, even the kids sometimes they can very afraid or like very shy. They don't want to go close to you, not a lot. But in a few minutes, after they start seeing the toys and you start talking to them, invite them to play, and Mom, can you come and help? Ask Mommy if she can come and help. And they start forming like a bond with the kids and even the person that is there. Next week, if they come, it's different. You can feel it. You can feel the difference. That's for people. It's very important to have these programs, to find out that they are not alone, that there is somebody who cares about them, who is there to help, and to help them to come out from where they are now.
I think your point, Concepcion, and this is so true. You're such a good graduate. I'm so happy. But the point that Annie brought to you and that we bring to the center is that our families are strong and they're wonderful. As mothers, they're terrific. And that, as Annie would say to you, you can do this, of course. Go, go, go. Include, do it. And as you bring now to the center, come on, Mom, you can do this. Come
Well,
on.
I think
and that's
one of
a
the
wonderful
things you had spoken about when we all spoke together was about some of the collateral benefits. And one of them you had mentioned was the isolation, especially in the immigrant experience.
Yes.
And the need for social connections. Obviously, Concepcion is talking a little bit about that, but can you explain how else this plays itself out?
Sure. As we talked about this as a collaborative effort, certainly we developed the center to meet the needs of the Parent-Child Home program in a sense because we had such a large waiting list. But simultaneously at the same time we were involved in the village team, and I chair the 0 to 6 subcommittee. as part of the village team. And as we were working with people on the committee who were representatives of WIC or the clinics or schools, the clergy, Hope, all of us brought up the needs that there are many parents in the community that have no services, no support services for their children in terms of educational services. The preschools are filled. The point of being able to afford daycare or being not eligible perhaps for the daycare, as well as the nursery schools, that's prohibitive at most points. The housing for many of our families do not lend itself to informal visiting and sharing of bringing people together. The housing is small and cramped and often shared. So what was experiencing, kids were being described as coming someplace and bouncing off the walls, and parents had no opportunity to do that wonderful informal exchange from mother to mother, and I want to say really parent to parent, because certainly fathers are very much part of raising children and certainly are part of the Parent-Child Home Program. So we brought all those pieces together and formed the Parent-Child Center to help in that socialization and that isolation pieces, to empower parents to chat with one another. I'll share with you a tragic story and some of the wonderful benefits that have come with that. A recent immigrant in the community took her life, and she had been in treatment and unfortunately saw no other escape at this point, and she had been coming to the center, and as a response to that, certainly our staff and certainly our families, we were devastated by the loss of someone, and we all related a little way too much to that sense of isolation and pain. And as a center, what originally had started out as just a play group and trying to bring people socializing, we really came together as a community and supported one another in trying to get through this whole grieving process and moving towards a little bit more of education process of what is depression and where is the help and how do we get it. And those are parts of the components that we were able to bring into the center, using the strengths of WJCS's bereavement center and collaborating with Columbus School and trying to work together as a community to support each other. We have other wonderful stories of coming together as a center. We had a wonderful birthday party, that we still talk about. How did that 10-inch cake feed 70 people? We can't understand it, right? How did that happen?
That was wonderful.
We had an experience with a young mom with several children who, a school-age child who was not in school yet, and as we began to speak with her, realized that she had some difficulty in immunizations. One of her children's papers hadn't come in from Mexico, and with the advent of Marcia's cell phone, we called a fellow member on the village team subcommittee who is from the health department immunization, and we called and made an appointment for that Tuesday, and that young child is back in school within 10 days. So it's really nice collaboration of networking within the community to come together and support one another.
The other role is also as a resource center. You had talked about having materials and also the aspect of having Project Hope on the, I guess it's called Project Hope.
Hope Incorporated. When we were looking for where to have this center and what would be convenient, we had a lot of pieces that we wanted to look at, and certainly knowing the community, transportation was an issue. The Latino population and their faith is very strong, and having a comfortable, familiar spot such as their church community was another piece. The fact that Hope is there, which provides outreach social services as well as a soup kitchen and food pantry. That was great. Song Catchers is there, which is a wonderful music instruction group for children. So it's been wonderful that it is all in that community, and so that's where we're starting.
Well, we don't have too many minutes left, but where do you see the future going for the Parent-Child Center and for other collaborations in New Rochelle and communities like this?
Well, they're still trying to keep up with all the stuff that we have. So they're kind of hoping that we'll hold on for a minute.
Hold on for a little while.
But I think that we're tremendously proud of where we are right now, and looking at the expansions that we've just done. I think that we are really looking at the possible development of the Parent-Child Center as a wonderful resource to the community and building it that way. We, as Marcia said, we're also in Portchester, and as our home visitors hear stories of the development of the Parent-Child Center, they're very very jealous. They want one for the community as well. So with the help of additional funding, we certainly have been very blessed, particularly with the Westchester County Youth Bureau and Investa Kids funding and other funding sources to support us. We'd like to bring our little show in lots of places. We're not without people asking. You know, so many communities have requested us to support their work.
Now, if people are interested in the center, could you just give us an idea of where it's located, what the hours are, and how someone comes to be part of it?
Sure. Amy, you want to take that a little bit?
The center is open Thursday mornings at St. Gabriel's Church, which is at 50 Washington Avenue. It's the old church building, the cafeteria downstairs. Unfortunately, at this point, we only have a few more sessions to go. But then, of course, we will be opening up again in September. And we do have flyers out. We put them at the clinics, the WIC office, at the church itself, and a number of other places. And through Concepcion people in the community, we pass out flyers. And we'll do that again in September to let everyone know when we will be opening up again for the new year.
Okay. And if people are interested in the Parent-Child Home Program?
Sure. If you're living in those communities, certainly Greenburgh, Portchester, Mamaroneck, White Plains, and New Rochelle, please call us. We also would be looking for, as we go into expansion, home visitors, which is a big part of us moving towards that. We also are doing I was trying not to mention this, but we have a summer extension program as well.
Yes. Okay. Well, now if they want to call you, let's give them the telephone number and hope you won't get inundated by many, many more.
Well, we'd be actually delighted. I think that would be great. The telephone number is 949-7699, extension 324. And I do have voicemail, so you could leave a message, and we'll be sure to get back to you.
Okay. I want to thank you all. It's very exciting to hear what's going on in Concepcion. It's wonderful to hear how you've progressed, and everybody is doing such a wonderful job. Thank you for joining me tonight. In our second segment, we'll be talking about the Village Team, which is the larger group that the Parent-Child Home Program has joined with to make other changes and move ahead in the New Rochelle community. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the Ways We Care of Westchester Jewish Community Services. I'm Dale Wang, Director of Community Relations. WJCS is funded by UJA Federation, United Way, government grants, private individuals, foundations, and corporations. This evening's program focuses on a community collaborative effort that is making a real difference for residents of New Rochelle and setting an example for integrated services in communities statewide. In our first segment, we spoke with staff members from the WJCS Parent-Child Home Program, one of the coalition participants in the New Rochelle Village Team. We will now be joined by other representatives from organizations working together in the city of New Rochelle to provide positive experiences of family support, communication, and involvement to make the community a stronger, safer, and more welcoming place. I'd like to introduce our participants. Welcome back to Patrice Cuddy, who is the director of the WJCS Parent-Child Home Program, and introduce Maureen Schramm-Martinez, who is the coordinator of Project Focus. Welcome, Maureen. Maria Gonzalez. Welcome, Maria. Maria is a senior at New Rochelle High School and a member of the Village Youth Team. And Pat Pingatore, Director of Community Relations at Sound Shore Medical Center. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you.
All of you represent organizations that are part of the Village Team, but the impetus for this came from Sound Shore. So maybe, Pat, you can begin by giving us a little idea of how it got started.
Sure, it's actually quite an interesting story. In 1998, Sound Shore in their emergency department had noticed that there was an increase in intentional injuries related to abuse or domestic violence. And so the medical center decided to call together a group of community organizations to discuss this. And that's basically how it started. It started with about 15 or 20 different organizations coming together, and we were concerned about what was happening in our community. And that was basically how it started, and it has grown significantly since.
Right. Well, now I understand there are about 40 or 50 organizations. What was it that got these organizations coalesced to kind of move ahead and the goals that they were setting in terms of working collaboratively?
Well, I think everybody thought and looked at the community, and everyone wants to live in a wonderful community and work in a wonderful community. And I think we had very similar goals, and that's what we wanted to do. And we looked to improve our community, and it really was something that was very easy to do because everyone had the same goals and they wanted to make it a better place to live, and it was really as simple as that.
I think it happened also simultaneously on a county-wide level, where the county was looking at planning their integrated service plan, and at the same time Westchester County Youth Bureau was offering educational components to community agencies on how to build communities, how to provide strength-based programming. And so it was a really nice falling together of those three components, I think, that really helped shape the village team into what it is today.
And I know there's also abundant research out there now that supports community responses to address problem behaviors, particularly adolescent problem behaviors. So, you know, even if you were to look at funding streams, you know, across all different types of fields, you are seeing a lot of funding now going towards communities that do have an existing community coalition. So that's absolutely one of New Rochelle's strengths, I think, is that we've been around now for a couple of years. So I think even compared to some other communities, we're a little bit ahead in that process.
We've been around, but also the enthusiasm has continued and has grown, which actually is very astounding for something that's been around for three years now.
Right. Now, to look at the group of coalition partners is really amazing, because you obviously draw from every sector, and the family, the educational programs, the community service organizations. Patrice said the buzzwords that I'd like to identify for our viewers, and that is integrated services. Can we give them an operational definition so that they know what we're talking about?
Well, I think we touch a lot of different organizations within the community. We're looking at the healthcare organization. We're looking at education. We're looking at a lot of other things. Maybe Maureen or Patrice wants to add to that, but the New Rochelle Police Department, Board of Education, Interreligious Council, business community,
Substance abuse prevention, substance abuse treatment.
Really a broad-based picture of who is in the community, what are their services, what are their needs. And so it's a joining together with one purpose, and that's the purpose of building and supporting healthy families, and particularly youth development. And it's done with the knowledge of everyone knowing what everyone else is doing, and also with the big piece of what are the facts specifically related to New Rochelle. What are the needs, what are the statistics, what's the long-range plan, and how are we going to get there? And I think that's how the subcommittees begin to form and make a push towards where they want to head, with that common goal of strengthening families and particularly positive development for youth.
We originally started out really with early intervention through childhood, and we really kind of expanded that to the childhood and the family, so that really touches on everybody, and we have a very diverse community, so we can offer a lot of different things.
They had put together a list of risk factors for youth. Is anyone comfortable talking about some of those risk factors?
I mean, I can speak from the perspective of the project I work on, which is Project Focus. Focus stands for Families Organized to Curb the Use of Substances. Briefly, I'll say a statement about it, and then I can comment on the risk and protective factors. This is a 3-year substance abuse prevention project. It started April 2000. It's a joint project of 3, those 3 being the Westchester County Department of Community Mental Health, Student Assistance Services, which is my employer, and the village team. Excuse me. So, you know, the overall goal of that project is absolutely the prevention and reduction of substance use by youth, which is defined as 12 to 17-year-olds in New Rochelle. Really the heart of the project, I would say, is based on the risk and protective factor research. 2 gentlemen named Hawkins and Catalano and others since then. They've identified, I think it's 19 risk factors, and I'm definitely not a research and statistical expert, so don't ask me questions on the research, but I know that it had to be shown in multiple longitudinal studies to be a reliable indicator of a variety of problem behaviors. So just to give you some examples of what some of these risk factors would be, if you were just to look at, say, the community domain, they talk about 4 domains: community, family, school, and individual peer group. So just looking at the community, for example, for substance abuse, which would be a problem behavior, availability of alcohol. So if kids, and this could be the reality or even the kids' perception, if kids perceive, I shouldn't say kids, if youth, it's terrible, it's kind of derogatory, if youth perceive that alcohol, marijuana, tobacco, other drugs are easily accessible, you absolutely will see an increase in use. So that is a reliable risk factor or indicator for the development of that problem behavior. There's a variety of others. There's also protective factors. Just to give the opposite of the risk, protective factors serve to buffer a young person from exposure to risk. So even if you had a youth who, say, had the highest level of risk in his or her life, if that child also had protective factors in his life, there would be no difference between that child and a child who had low risk in his or her life. So a protective factor would be a child living in a community where there's opportunities to get involved in a pro-social way, where the school system has ample after-school programs for them to get involved with, being in a family where they feel attached to the family and feel like they play a meaningful role in the decisions that are made by the family. There's others as well, but that's I guess the heart of Project Focus, but also a big part of the village team.
One of the main things that struck me when we all spoke was the very positive outlook and positive approach that this whole project and the village team goals have in terms of goals of community asset building and youth wellness. A lot of these are very positive factors. Can you comment on how that plays out and how that shapes the way organizations look to make change?
I think that we can identify some negative things, whether they be substance abuse issues or domestic violence issues or poor achievement in schools. And what we are all working towards is building strengths and building families and strengthening youth and strengthening skills. And so a lot of our work has been in identifying some of perhaps your first year of identifying some of perhaps what the deficits are, but then looking at how can we increase those protective factors to allow youth to have those resiliency support services so that they will not fall prey to some negative lifetime experiences. And so in all of our subcommittees, that's exactly what we're doing. And for instance, in the subcommittee I chair is the 0 to 6, we spent many months of looking at what are we doing here? What are some of the statistics? What are some of the issues that we're seeing in New Rochelle? And then how can we build to support that? And one example is the start of the Parent-Child Center, which is a very strength-based support program for families with young children. I think certainly in the domestic violence area, you guys have really done some great work, and I'm dying to hear Marie talk about some of the youth program.
I wanted to move. I thought I'd do this developmentally, so we'll take from 0 to 6, and then we'll
so
take.
it's really been a very exciting thing as we see some of what has started, starting from Hawkins' work, is that we look at some real statistical facts. What is New Rochelle? Where are we going? What are the problems? And then building from there in positive strength building programs.
And actually, the Parent-Child Center that we spoke about earlier, what came out of this,
Absolutely,
and it really is something that the village team is nurturing by all of
exactly.
the
As Maureen had said, that as I would imagine, as good as the Parent-Child Home Program is, and as well of a reputation we have, we would not perhaps have gotten the funding if we were not connected to a larger picture of integrated services and support services and a team effort. And as we see all of the grant proposals coming out, that's what they're all looking for, is where's your partnership? Let's really move communities step by step, and so that's the place that we're at.
Okay, Maria, I'd like to pick up with you because I think one of the unique aspects of the village team, too, is having this parallel village youth team. And maybe you could talk a little about how you got involved with it and what the village youth team does.
Right. The village youth team is the branch, the youth branch out of the village team. And I joined the village youth team during my junior year of high school. And you have to be recommended to join the group. And I was interviewed by Barbara, our leader, Barbara Carbone, and I told her why I wanted to become part of the village youth team was basically to do work with my community and make a difference, which is why I think all of the kids that are involved in the village youth team are there. And so we've worked with the village team trying to create programs to help the teenagers in New Rochelle. And what we try to do is the issues that we face and that we see our friends face. We try to come up with ideas in order to create programs to help them with the issues.
Now, I think very often these days, and as my children grew up and as we grew up, you didn't necessarily want adults involved with you, or it wasn't so easy to talk about those issues with adults in the community. What makes this a different
Well, the village youth team is very willing to work with adults in order
Very vocal group.
Yes. We try, some of the members in our team try to attend the village team meetings and talk to them about the ideas that we've come up with, our opinions on programs that they're kind of developing, and how we can improve their programs. And we ask for them to help us with our programs and our goals. So we love to work with adults.
Yeah, and I think they've benefited, and we've benefited from learning to hear about the voice of the youth in New Rochelle. The New Rochelle Guidance Center is actually the one who is supporting this particular program. And not only, I think, are the youth contributing to the community, I think the youth are also benefiting. You need to say about your wonderful program of your radio show.
Yeah, now we have a radio show which comes on twice a month. We have a show tomorrow, actually, and we're talking about prom and the issues with prom and how it's changed. So we offer these radio shows, and we talk about issues, again, that face the community as a whole, and not only teens. And so we're working very hard in order to get people to listen to us.
It's WVOX, right?
WVOX, 1460 a.m.
What time is the show on?
Tomorrow it's on at 6. Wait, I'm confused. 6 to 7, yes.
Okay.
They tackled some great topics, and
we're
really reaching out to the community to try to hear some of the voices and concerns.
We're looking forward to adults to call in and challenge us on our opinions.
Well, and you also mentioned that you feel privileged to be able to bring the Hispanic voice to the community as well.
When I joined the group, I was the only Hispanic girl in the group, and now there's 4 of us, and I'm very happy because it takes the pressure off of me a little. So we kind of, when I first joined, I try to bring the issues that face the community, the Hispanic community, the youth, try to bring it and share it with the other kids, and let them know what we're facing and what we have to deal with as well. And we try to work together to create programs that would benefit everyone, not just one group, because New Rochelle is very diverse, so we need programs that could help everyone.
Right, right. Well, and what I can't believe is that when I spoke with Maria, she said she was very shy when she started. Certainly she's benefited and would hardly be considered shy. Let me just hear a little bit about the other subcommittees. Maybe Pat, you could tell us about the domestic violence group that you're involved with.
Okay, the members on the domestic violence subgroup from Sound Shore Medical Center, which is myself, the Guidance Center, the Interreligious Council, My Sister's Place, New Rochelle Police Department, and Westchester Jewish Community Services. And basically what we're trying to do is to increase community awareness about domestic violence. We've taken on 3 major initiatives. One was a training initiative, and what we did with our training initiative, My Sister's Place and Westchester Jewish Community Services and the New Rochelle Police Department got together and developed a training program, Operation Safety, and they trained physicians and nurses, and more than 100 have been trained so far, about domestic violence. Basically awareness, community resources, what to do if there's a client who's involved in domestic violence, and also how to document it properly. They've also developed some informational sessions that went out to other employees who are interested, and any other member of the village team. So they've been at a lot of the different organizations, and actually what they want to do is they increase community-wide awareness of domestic violence. The other thing that we've done is we've developed a palm card. This little palm card, we've distributed so far 12,000 of these. Yeah, and basically it talks about the community resources here in New Rochelle, so it's very easily put in your wallet for anyone who needs it. And the other piece that we've developed, this is for professionals, is again, it's a community resource guide. It's a little pamphlet, and what's interesting about this, it also has on it 4 questions that you can ask your client that may help them if they've been involved in domestic violence. But it takes a while for someone to be able to talk about it. So these are 2 of the vehicles that we've put together. And the trainings are ongoing. I mentioned the trainings, and as new employees come into the hospital at our orientation, everyone gets a little presentation on domestic violence. And we feel very proud that we've started with our employees and to make them aware of domestic violence issues.
And because Sound Shore is so integral to the community, I think you then can touch a lot of people who are...
It's also the largest employer in New Rochelle.
Okay, and Maureen, maybe you can give us a little bit more about the substance abuse
I know I
committee.
said some stuff, so I might repeat myself. I've forgotten what I've said already, but it's a 3-year, like I said, adolescent substance abuse prevention project. It's federally funded. It began officially in April 2000. It represents over $500,000 coming into New Rochelle, which is just for the use of the purpose that I mentioned, substance abuse prevention for adolescents. We're almost done with the first year, I think. Yes, we're about to move into the second year. And this is all indicated by research. For the entire first year of the project, really what we did was, in addition to building our coalition, we also have it's very similar to a subcommittee setup, so we have our own group that meets monthly with significant folks from New Rochelle who play a part on it. In addition to doing that, we've done nothing really but collect data. So I think, Patrice, you mentioned earlier that it's so important before you do anything in a community to address a problem is really to find out what the nature and scope of the problem is. So, you know, we've surveyed the public school students, we've spoken to students, we've met with over 100 parents, we've interviewed community leaders, and we've collected a variety of other data. I own a college, we have a whole data team that's doing this for us gladly.
Yeah,
I told you I'm not the research type. So now we're at a very exciting point where we're just finishing up getting an understanding of what all the data means. From there, we move immediately into developing a comprehensive community-wide prevention plan. So we don't know yet how the community is going to respond to the problem behavior of substance use, but will be completely driven by the data, as we identify the salient risk factors and protective factors. We will come up with a response to how can we now reduce the risk factors that we've prioritized, enhance the protective, and build on some other strengths, such as the community resources that exist in New Rochelle. So we're really on the verge of moving into some of the meaty implementation stuff, so I'm really looking forward to years 2 and 3.
Right. Well, that sounds very interesting, and it focuses on the problem among youth or a problem among the entire population.
The target population is youth 12 to 17, but like I said earlier, it absolutely is a community response. So, for example, I absolutely foresee that one of the main tasks that the group is going to probably take on is probably doing education and skills training with the parents. So we will be working with all in the community, but the target population is the youth.
Well, we don't have a lot of time left, and I would like to address what you feel the impact has been for the New Rochelle community of working collaboratively with these projects.
I think the impact of the collaborative experience has been absolutely wonderful. Learning about everybody else and doing things together is really a wonderful experience. Before, maybe 5 or 6 different organizations did things separately, and now we all come together, we do it together, and it really has a wonderful impact. It's very exciting.
And I would imagine that there's less duplication of services. Do you talk about who's going to do what piece? And
I think there is less duplication of services if that's needed. I think that we can identify what is needed and where the voids are and in the gaps, and try to figure out how to pull our resources and fill those in. It certainly has been wonderful in terms of professional development as well, and I think the community of New Rochelle has benefited tremendously by pooling all our resources and experiences together.
Just very quickly, what has been the role of the local government in being involved with this? We have 1 minute.
I think that they are certainly members of our village team, and when it is their time permits, they are certainly part of our meetings. Many of the members are also part of the Council of Community Services, so that provides a tremendous link directly to the government, and I'm sure that they're very supportive as our work in the community.
Well, I would imagine that this type of coalition will be looked at in an ongoing basis and replicated throughout the state. I know your project is one of pilot projects throughout the state, and we'll be looking forward to seeing great things coming out of New Rochelle and out of the youth team, and we thank you all for your participation. I think it makes New Rochelle and the county a better place to be. So as we look to what goes on there, we can look at what else is going on in other parts of the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to remind people that on June 7th, the Parent-Child Home Program will be having their annual reunion, bringing back people who were toddlers in the program and are now graduating from high school and college, and it's a wonderful experience. If you have any questions about the Parent-Child Home Program, please give Patrice Cuddy a call. It's at 949-7699, extension 324. And thank you again, and good night.